Welcome. Today we're talking about the new Bright RC 1/5 scale radio controlled Polaris ATV.
Now this comes with a 12.8 volt lithium ion battery, just one, and a charger of course, and it is ready to run, so it means you can go out there and race it right after you purchase it. I would say of all the runs I've done, it lasts a little bit more than 10 minutes, but less than 15, or at least that's been an aggregate out of about 25 to 30 charges so far. Now, let me emphasize, this thing is a lot of fun to fool around with, but unfortunately, a 10 to 15 or 10 to 12 minute battery cycle isn't a lot of time to play around with it. So one of the first things that I did after I got this and used it once or twice was to go online and order 2 more batteries along with an extra charger. That way I could have a lot more fun with it, and not just me, but the nephews, nieces, and I got brothers and sisters that like to fool around with this as well. Plugging the battery into the charger to charge is a pretty easy process, so I'm not going to go into much detail on that. The only thing I can add is that it takes around a half hour or so to charge, maybe a little more, a little less. I don't know the exact time because I typically do not like to let these things run down all the way. If you'll notice right here, I bought a second vehicle. This is only a 2-wheel drive, and that, of course, is why you've seen 4 batteries instead of 3 batteries earlier. These things are a lot of fun to play around with and race against each other. One other question that I had before I bought a second one was the frequency. If you'll notice, there is a 2.4 number on both of them. But what I found out is that even though they both say 2.4, there's a different way the signals are received so that you can race each one separately, which is kind of cool. The remote control is pretty straightforward for this. On the left, you can just go forward, backward, and on the right, you can go right, left. So pretty straightforward controls. Now, as far as the batteries are concerned, all you got to do is push this thing down and you'll get to the batteries. And what type of batteries does it take? Well, if you get this one out right here, you may or may not notice it is a AA battery. What we're going to do, of course, is zoom in on that in just a second here. So far, after using this about 20 to 30 times, we have not replaced the AA batteries yet for the controller. Although I have plenty of these in stock, so I'm not really concerned about having to replace this. One of the things I really like about this is that it has all-wheel drive, hence the 4x4 logo on the side of the box. This is really cool because it allows you to operate in different types of terrain that you would normally not be able to do. Now, it's not always going to be able to get through the terrain you want to go through, but it overall does a pretty good job of being able to climb in and out of obstacles and stuff like that. So that's one of the cool things I like about this. In addition to that, it also comes with a flexible suspension. Got a lot of different springs in different spots that allows you to absorb a certain amount of shock and stuff, and what you're going to need for taking it off-road. I actually tried mounting a camera on this thing on the inside, and the first time I did it, it fell out. So yeah, this definitely takes some shock, but the nice suspension helps absorb most of that. So far, we've seen this thing go off-road and what it can do here and there. And a question many of you have is, how fast exactly can this thing go? So of course, you've got to take it to a flat road to find out. I'm watching this thing go right here, and I'm trying to run some calculations in my head. My best guess is around 15 miles per hour. It could be a little bit slower, possibly a tad faster, but I'm going to say around 15, give or take. Let's say 13 to 17 range, probably a fair estimate there. Again, it can get going pretty fast on the open road, but again, this is a 4x4 off-road vehicle, and of course the cool thing is this thing will race on the road. My guess is between the 13 to 17 range. Like I said earlier, if I had to make a solid guess, I'd say about 15 miles per hour top speed, which is decent. And again, what is so neat about this thing is it doesn't just race on-road. You can take the thing off-road, race in the snow. You know, you might have to take a leaf blower to it later and wash it off, but it's pretty cool. You can drive it around into the snow. It's got some nice big tires on it. As long as the snow is not like super packy, you should be able to move around pretty good with it. Or at least you can see what it's doing right now in front of us as we speak. But yeah, this thing's pretty cool. It was definitely worth making the purchase. I'm glad I did. In fact, I like it so much. Like I said earlier, I got a second one. For me, one of the bigger issues I saw was the 10 to 12 minute battery life. But what I did to remedy that was basically order a couple more batteries, as well as getting the other one of these so you could race them both. That way you can rotate the batteries out and then stick stick 2 or 3 on the charger. So that took care of that problem. One other thing you might want to consider doing is getting some oil and maybe putting a drop or two where the wheel joints are, just so it doesn't get rust and corrosion over time. You don't have to do it every time, but just enough so that it stays in good shape. And so far so good. This has definitely been worth purchasing. And I look forward to being able to use this in the summer as well, given how good it's handled in the snow. And, of course, that is going to wrap this up. I am signing out. Thank you for watching, and good luck.